So moved.
Second, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I second the motion. President
Thank you.
King.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign. The minutes are approved. The third item on the agenda is the RDA update on rail projects. And I would like to turn it over to Dave Wellman for an update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we have a quick update here. We split it up into 2 slides, so it's a little bit more readable this time around. First, taking a look at the Westlake corridor. We are about 91% complete on the design as of November of 2023. They're still working on a few things, the major bridges being the big piece that still has to come together. Currently construction is working on the rail bed, utility location, station areas, and retaining walls. Overall, construction is more than halfway complete. We're about 54% of the way there. Our utility work in Munster is complete. Again, you can see all this here. And we're still looking at a revenue service date of May 1st, 2025 is still the target. And the FTA grant commitment is to May 20th, 2026. So that's where we stand on Westlake. Anybody have any questions on this piece of the commuter rail expansion project? Okay, there are no questions. Moving on to Double Track. Double Track is closing in on finished. Our overall construction is now 83% complete. We have trains running on new track over in Michigan City. The stretch from Michigan City to the Dune Park Station has been reopened, so we're now just busing between there and Gary. So that's where our project is. Construction is ongoing. The Miller Station work is scheduled to be completed by the end of this month, and we have parking lots completed in Dune Park, Portage, Ogden Dunes. And overall, again, we're on track for a revenue service date starting up in May of next year, and the FTA grant runs through November of next year. So we're really on track, and so the first part of this project we can start talking about in the past tense, hopefully by spring of next year. Any questions?
Hearing none, Dave, thank you for that update. Again, at any time in the meeting, if folks have a question, please feel free to chime in. We're hoping that we can get your questions answered. I'd like to then move on the agenda to the fourth item on the agenda, which is the TDD boundaries update, and would like to turn it over to Aaron Kowalski.
Great, thank you. So I think, as you all know, at the end of last month, we finalized 3 more transit development boundaries. So myself, David Reynolds, and Sherry Ziller were down in Evansville, Indiana, which is where State Budget Committee met. And we gave a short presentation on the 3 different boundaries to them, and they were summarily approved. So Dune Park went through the process. We have a boundary there with approval. So our next steps here are to update the overall TDD summary document, and then this is kind of slated for kind of all the administrative tasks similar to the other ones, but we'll begin collecting increment in 2024 with a potential to spend in 25. So next one, please. The same is true for Hammond South, finalized boundary here. So we've completed that boundary as well. So that has a 2023 establishment date, 2024 fund date, and a 2025 potential for funding availability.
Hey,
Next
Aaron,
one, please.
Aaron,
Go ahead, Brian.
could you go back to the Hammond one?
Yes.
Okay, it looks like that particular graphic is, I'm not sure if that's showing right at 165th Street.
I believe this is an old map. Now that I'm looking at it, we will we'll get this updated, Brian. I think we just had the wrong one dropped in the presentation deck.
Okay, all right.
And then Gary Metro finalized that boundary as well. And this is also an important step as part of legislation around the station and blight elimination. And we completed some additional due diligence to make sure that those properties identified are within that boundary. So I know that was a short update there. So now that we're kind of through that next tranche, we are ready to engage with communities that are interested. Kind of the three remaining communities are interested in advancing boundaries. Valparaiso. So Beth, I know you're on the call. We are ready when you are to start talking about that again. I know we did the site tour a little later or a little earlier, excuse me, this year. And so we are ready and willing to meet with you as it makes sense, probably looking either between Thanksgiving and Christmas or right after the first of the year. So we'll be sending out a note to you and your team to try to figure out what time works best to re-engage there. And then I know we have representatives from Beverly Shores and South Bend on the call. I think we just had kind of a tentative point on both of those. So I would say that the opportunity is now to re-engage with the RDA and start having your conversations internally if you'd like to move forward with a boundary respective to your station areas in 2024.
Thanks,
Any
Aaron.
questions or comments?
Yeah, I think after elections, we need to regroup and we'll look forward to your email update and get moving on our boundary discussion.
Sounds great.
Aaron, this is John Black from Beverly Shores. The same for us. We strongly feel that it'll take the Pines involvement in Pine Township, and that we really can't move forward unless we have their cooperation and input. So we're kind of like in limbo. I'll be stepping off the town council at the end of the year, and I'll probably refer it on to a couple of the other representatives to maybe step in. And we would love to find a way to make it happen, but we sincerely feel that without the town of Pines involvement, it's really a non-event, because otherwise our commercial district for development is fairly small with a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, so couple follow-ups. So Dave Wellman and I will follow up with Valpo. So Beth, thanks for that. Now that we're through the election, we'll reach out to you with some options, either to start discussions yet this year or early next year. And you all let us know kind of what works best for everyone's schedule and availability, especially as there is an upcoming administration change, excuse me. And then I think, John, relative to your questions about Pines, we're going to reach back out to Pines now that we're through the election, and hopefully can knock that loose, get their interest there. So we will follow up. Dave and I will commence outreach to them again, and we will follow up with you before you step off the board at the end of the year. And it's good to know that. And then Tim, I would say, let us know if you're ready for us to set up any conversations with you and your team as a next step. We're ready and willing if you guys are.
Yeah, Aaron, one question for you. I mean, we're ready, I think, but at least capacity wise, we can do this. I think the issue that I wanted to just get your opinion on is there's new design for the station, a station to be moved to the west side of the South Bend Airport.
That's correct.
But it is my understanding they don't have funding secured for the construction of that, right? How would we go about creating a TDD when I know it's not far from the current station. I mean, it's only probably a few 100 feet away or something like that, but how do you go about when the station shifts, potentially shifts, or may not shift, you know? And so, if funding isn't secured, yeah, I just curious, how do you see that working out? Like, how can we go about doing a TDD right now? Like if we just said, hey, Aaron, let's start tomorrow with this like weird bit of ambiguity that I'm not sure gets resolved in a timely manner.
So, I'm gonna take a crack at that question and then I might ask, either David Reynolds or Dave Hollenbach to weigh in. My understanding is statute requires that the station, so the station that is operating is within that transit development boundary. So my interpretation of the statute is that we would draw the TDD boundary with the current station location included, as well as the future station location in the same TDD boundary, and then extend that boundary to capture any areas that could potentially contribute to economic development within the vicinity of that and within the acreage that is allowed by statute. I'd let
Okay.
others weigh in.
Yeah, this is David Reynolds, and I agree with Aaron. I mean, Tim, I don't, in my mind at least, as long as we meet the statute of including the current station and parking area in TDD, and I agree with Aaron that it makes sense to include the future station area as well. I don't see a problem with moving forward. I mean, I think the question, I think that South Bend and the RDA would need to answer is, if there's not a shift in the station, or if funding is not secured for some period of time, is that the right location for the TDD? You know, regardless of whether the station is moving or not, is the placement of the TDD where is most advantageous for
Right. Yeah. No,
the,
and that
the
makes
city
sense,
and
David.
the RDA.
It is, and I think it probably just doesn't really come down to a lot of, say, potentially wasted land, because they are very close to each other. I mean, I think the TDD would be more or less similar regardless if it was on the west side or the east side. It's just the shape would change. But if we include both, I guess we cover ourselves.
This is Hollenbeck. I agree with Aaron and David, and especially the comments that the two proposals would not be very far apart.
Okay.
So we can follow up on that. I mean, I would say the other thing that, all of these boundaries have as a additional tool within statute is the expansion up to 1 square mile or 640. So if for some reason we don't capture something we need to capture, that could then trigger that mechanism to expand the boundary.
And at some point, could you eliminate a little bit of it and just shift it? Okay, so once it's in place, it's
once it's in play, it's in play, but it can be increased in size to include other areas as other projects, economic development opportunities, et cetera, come into fruition.
Okay. Yeah, Aaron, happy to try to set something up with you and get somebody. I'll try to get somebody from the county as well.
Sounds good. So what we'll do is on all three of these, Dave Wellman and I will do some research and some outreach. And we'll try to get back to you with an initial response before Thanksgiving, and then have a more kind of detailed response after Thanksgiving.
Right.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on then on the agenda, the next item is the TDD implementation planning update. And I'll turn it back over to Aaron.
Yeah, thank you. So just a quick slide here. So we have completed the FTA TOD planning. All of those plans are updated on nwitdd.com. Now we're kind of working on a couple different components. We've completed a blight elimination strategy for City of Gary downtown. That's completed and under review in support of SB 434 for kind of the enabling projects in anticipation of a new station in the downtown area. And the RDA is continuing to provide community technical support to ongoing TOD projects. That is in the form of technical assistance, RFP assistance, and things of the like, as well as working with the local units to help them implement the TOD plans and the various components of those plans. And then the last piece here is we at the RDA have been getting significant developer interest in the region, and we have been referring those developers to the local units. So as we have developers that say, hey, we have interest in XYZ communities, our directive is to route them directly to either planning director or director of development in the various communities. So there's ongoing outreach there as well.
Aaron, can you just speak to that a little bit? What type, like who, like how are they contacting you, or why, like, and what kind of development are you talking about?
Yeah, I would say
if you were to sort of categorize it into say 3 categories or whatever, or whatever it is.
I would say most of the development interest at this point is mixed use and multifamily development in a lot of our kind of walkable downtown core areas, as well as areas that could be kind of larger neighborhood development sites. There's significant interest from the Indianapolis development community, Chicago development community in particular, as well as local developers. And we're continuing to see that interest increase. We would anticipate that, especially with the updates on revenue service for the 2 rails, that we're going to see that increase by a large amount over the coming months and years. But we are continuing to kind of route those contacts to individuals that say, essentially, hey, how do I get a hold of so-and-so at such and such community to talk to them about a development? So
it's kind of easier sometimes for them to, because they know you guys are working on the, okay.
Yeah, and the process that we've set up is that the local units are really driving development and land use, but we're happy to help connect various developers with those local units. And then, once the development process starts, however that might start, if the communities have questions and otherwise need technical assistance, we've made ourselves available to help.
Great, thanks.
I know there's a short update today, but I would say that there is a lot of work that's gone in behind the scenes into getting these additional 3 TDD boundaries established, as well as continuing to provide support to the communities. So I would turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, Aaron. So next item on the agenda are our next steps and opening it up for any other questions that folks may have. Dave Wellman, any thoughts on next steps?
Yeah, the only thing I just point a couple things out. We do have a calendar that I sent out, a draft calendar for our 2024 meeting schedule. Our next one would be February 14th. And if everybody is okay with that, it just continues our normal meeting date every 3 months. And I will get that all posted to our website so that that's available for anyone who is interested. Also, of course, membership on the committee is on an annual basis, so I will be sending letters out to all the appointing authorities, and I'll be copying all the current members on those. So keep an eye out for that if you'd like to continue on the committee in 2024. you might want to flag that for your appointing authority. And we will probably have a few changes, since there have been a few changes in appointing authorities due to the elections earlier this month. And we'll see how that all shakes out. But I look forward to seeing all of our existing members and all our new members in 2024. Beyond that, I'd open it up to anyone else for any comments or questions before we close.
Okay, Dave, is there any thought about not having the meeting on February 14th and adjusting it one way or the other?
I haven't had any thoughts about it, but if it's a problem, we can certainly propose a different date.
I'm actually kind of, I guess, indirectly proposing that
Okay.
we move it either to the 7th or the 21st, or some other day during the week of the 14th.
Okay. Well, are there any objections to say moving it to the 21st?
No.
All right, our next meeting then will be February 21st.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say one thing if I could.
Please.
I just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody and happy holidays. This will likely be my last meeting, as I am sure that Mayor-elect Melton will be selecting another person to carry on this task. But it has truly been an honor and a privilege to work with all of you. I'm heartened by all the progress that this steering committee has made. Kudos to you, Aaron, and your organization for what you have done. I appreciate the work that you've done with the city of Gary, and it's been a real pleasure. And I just wanted to say that because looking at the next meeting date, I won't have an opportunity to say that.
Thank you, Trent. Really appreciate that feedback, and Feelings Mutual really enjoyed working with you over the last several years.
Aaron, one last question for you. Did you say there was a sort of an updated report that you have completed, just like work to date?
Yeah, so we're getting ready to put kind of the updated, it's a kind of a simple transit development boundary summary of each of the boundaries. So we're updating it with the three new boundaries.
Okay.
We will get that sent out to this group, and then the TOD reports that were funded by the FTA grant are updated and on the nwitgd.com website.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions or comments? Anything for the good of the order? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us this morning at this steering committee meeting. And following the sentiments of Trent, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and happy holiday season as we enter into what will be an exciting 2024.
Thanks all.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy holidays.
You too.
See ya.